Lock us in, load us in, pop in that 8-track, spin the tape. Here we go. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time. It's Matt, Nick, and Pete who just completely fucked up our rhythm earlier, but we're not even going to get into that. Maybe it'll be an Easter egg in a future episode. Anyways, before we get into tonight's topics, I just want to remind all of you that Nick and I are taking this motherfucker on the road permanently. You know, like LeBron did years ago, he's taking his talents to Miami. We're taking our motherfucking talents to StarWarsTime.net. Mark it down. It's happening. We're going to do this cast on EB Network and then one more on the Entertainment Buddhacast Network. And then we are officially moving the Star Wars Time show over to StarWarsTime.net. So if you want to make sure that you can follow our two dumbasses over there, because we do love you and we don't want you to miss out on our ridiculousness, our stupid hot takes, my insane rants about the prequels. Just make sure to right now type in StarWars.net. We tried to make it easy for you into your browser and bookmark that motherfucker. Because guess what? There's already content out there. There's original content. There's Star Wars news. There's Star Wars fandom. There's shit that's just for Star Wars fans. So you're going to want to be over there now anyways. But the point of this little notice is to let you know that we're doing 2 more episodes on the Entertainment Buddhacast Network. And then we're moving over to a brand new, call it a reboot if you will, Star Wars Time Podcast Network. All right? StarWarsTime.net. Hit it up. You won't miss us. Thank you. All right, Nick, so let's get into the meat of this episode, which is quite a lot. Because, you know, we did take off Thanksgiving, and, you know, fuck you guys. We're allowed to have a break, too. Just want to get that out there in case some of you are sitting there going, hey, how come you two idiots didn't do an episode last week? Well, that's why. Because we are somewhat humans, and we had to hang out with other humans.
We have families. We have families too.
Right.
You know, I needed to do a little bit of traveling, see my parents and my brother that I haven't seen in a good long while. Sit down for, you know, it was first Thanksgiving in about 3-4 years that had no arguing. It was pretty nice, but I mean that's not what we're here to.
Were there
about.
crawfish?
There weren't crawfish. We had shrimp. We had shrimp though. We definitely had some shrimp in the dressing.
Did you have any what do you guys call it? Damn it. What's like the famous Cajun dish?
The famous Cajun dish, Jesus, the etouffee.
Damn it! Yeah, like one of those.
We didn't have any at Thanksgiving, but I did eat a po' boy and some gumbo.
Oh, another. This is the one I was thinking about. Jambalaya.
Jambalaya. I had some jambalaya when I had jambalaya.
Hell yeah, dude.
I had jambalaya. It was called jambalaya pie.
What was in it?
It was just your typical
jambalaya pie. Get the fuck out of here!
Like,
they put that shit in a pie.
It's like a calzone. It's like a calzone, except on the inside it's all jambalaya. I mean,
so what? Like sausage
and rice and chicken and like.
Oh my god! Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Dude, it was real good. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Nick is a Creole.
Yeah, I'm from down south. I mean, I'm talking southeast.
He doesn't sound like it. That's why. I mean, honestly, if he sounded like it, he wouldn't be on Star Wars.
No, I mean, you got to sound intelligent. You can't sound like a backwater idiot.
Yeah,
so
he at least sounds like a human.
Yeah, but I do. I came from the boot tip of Louisiana. I mean, if you look at the shape of Louisiana, that bottom right portion is you know primarily where I'm from. So.
It's amazing, man. I mean, at this point, I figured you'd literally be stringing up gators with treble hooks in their throat and then shooting them in the head.
I mean, I'm not going to say I've never seen it before, but I have never personally shot a gator.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I get it, man. We're not trying to disparage the Southern lifestyle. It's just sometimes you guys. I mean, I tell you, it's hard to understand.
It's a little different.
Hey, yeah. Totally different, but we love you. Anyways, so like I said, we got plenty to talk about. More than enough to keep you entertained for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Hopefully not more than 2. But you never know what we will get into, what type of tangents we will end up in. But we want to start with the most recent episodes of Star Wars Resistance. So we're talking about 2, right, Nick? Again, we took a week off. So we missed doing our recap last week. So we're going to do episodes 8 and 9. And we're going to try to get through them quickly because, again, we know we got plenty to talk about and not that much time. Yeah. Because if I were you guys, I probably wouldn't listen to us for more than an hour either. So we get it.
I mean, and you know, this is the first time with episode 8, Sonora's Score, that Matt, you really went deep with the Easter eggs. You went 13 deep. Oh, yeah. Usually we get 6 or 7.
Picking them off left and right.
And
yeah, this thing was a gold mine. So
there was a lot. So I mean, if do we want to go through all 13, or do you want to like call out the highlights and then let the people go?
I think as long as we contain ourselves, we can quickly rattle through them all.
Yeah. So
I do.
Sonara's Score was a very interesting episode because if you remember,
I liked it. I mean, it's a good one.
Again,
build on the overarching plot. I mean, it was literally a I think they probably built in a month or 2 time in between the previous episode where essentially Poe and Kaz forced Yeager to bring Sonara to the Colossus.
Yeah.
But this is like one of the most direct back-to-back episode arcs we've had.
It's almost outside of the, I guess you would call it the pilot episode where it was essentially 2 back-to-back, but it's also probably the most action-packed episode of the entire series so far, considering what we see happen here. We see an actual pirate invasion of the Colossus Station due to their turbo lasers being down, which is the first Easter egg.
Which is, the first Easter egg.
So that is a primary portion of this plot here, is that the Aces, the defenders of the station, are going out on a separate mission and will not be there to protect against any sort of incursion. And it so happens that the turbo lasers targeting system that protect the station are also down at the same time. So Doza is very reliant on Kaz and on Yeager to fix this targeting system before the Aces leave off of the station. And through all of this going on, we know we have this new character, Sonara, who we find out at the end of the previous episode is essentially a spy for the pirates now on Colossus Station, passing info on to, what was his name, Kragan. To Kragan.
Kragan.
Letting him know that, that this is going to be an open moment for the pirates to attack. So the turbo laser talk.
Dude, I mean, this episode, again, it had a bunch of Easter eggs and references, which we are going to return to. But, I mean, overall, it's probably one of the strongest episodes of the season.
I got to agree. I mean, 100%. There's, like I was saying, there's a lot of really fantastic action. We finally get to see Yeager back in the frame. We had, kind of lost track of him for a couple of episodes there, but he's back in his role, kind of on top of Kaz, on top of Tam, trying to get them to fix these turbo lasers. And then also, once this pirate incursion does happen, there's a lot of really cool scenes, a lot of really cool different species of aliens that we'll get to in the Easter egg callouts as well. I mean, I think that, this might be my favorite episode of the season so far.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, again, it built upon, and that's important to me. I mean, if you've been following my posts, I do essentially every week. I'm trying to do a recap and review of every episode, and obviously the Easter egg and references breakdown. But I felt like this episode was very strong because it was all narrative building in terms of the overarching. I mean, it really hammered home that, yes, the First Order finally, their work with the pirates paid off.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode essentially led Doza to saying to the First Order, you know what? I'm going to take you up on your offer for help because these pirates are fucking with us. But we know as an audience that the reason the pirates have been fucking with them is because the First Order has paid them to do so.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the episode, Commander Pyre is talking directly to Doza and says, "Okay, we'll send you some support right away," or something like, or he's going to be on the station personally to discuss this. Like,
yeah. So it's just good episode. So, anyways, back to our Easter eggs and references. The next one kind of came out of nowhere, and I still don't understand why it got brought up, but there's a Kyber crystals reference. And it happened when Kaz was sent off to look for parts for the targeting computer that Nick mentioned earlier that was busted in the turbo lasers. But honestly, I mean, do you think that was just the junk dealers just kind of being smartasses because they didn't need Kyber crystals?
No, they didn't need Kyber crystals. I think it was like, towards the end of that little conversation is when the dealers kind of started to joke with them, saying like, "Of course we don't have this. Why do you think we would have this?" And I think that like mentioning the Kyber crystals was just a subtle way to say like, yeah, of course we got that. We got Kyber crystals too. What are you building, a lightsaber? Here you go. Like,
right. Okay. Anyways, it was still a cool reference. I mean, not an Easter egg, but a definite reference from the franchise.
Yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, it seems like Kyber crystals are really taking a more prominent role or a prominent, kind of position within this new canon. I mean, we see it as a primary use case in Rogue One for how the Death Star is built. We also heard a lot of talk about Kyber crystals in Rebels, and now we get them brought up in Resistance. So
I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Where did Kyber crystals originate? Was it in the Old Republic, or had George or another EU property established it prior?
I mean, I don't think that they were ever referred to as Kyber crystals. I think they were referred to as lightsaber crystals previously. Like, okay. It's just because even back in like Old Republic days, when you were building your lightsaber in Knights of the Old Republic, like finding a lightsaber crystal was a necessary part of it. But I don't think it was ever referred to as a Kyber crystal. I could be wrong. If there's people out here listening.
So that's probably mostly Disney canon then.
Yeah,
right?
I would say so. Definitely the way that it's being portrayed now, and especially the way it's being portrayed through the comic series, where like these Kyber crystals can bleed and like they can change from a primary color like blue or green to red based off of the Force.
Well, it was a huge thread in Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures too.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that on an episode way back. But I think Kyber, like the term Kyber, is pretty unique to Disney Star Wars canon.
It was really one of the main plot devices of Rogue One.
Exactly.
Really.
I mean, that was the reason that they were on Jeddah, and they were siphoning these Kyber crystals from the planet. But yes, very, very interesting to see that brought up here, even if it wasn't kind of just like a joking fashion, keeping with their current canon stuff. So very interesting.
Yeah. So next one I picked up on is there is a pit droid on the Colossus. Yes, pit droid from the Phantom Menace. Those hanging out in Watto's shop. At the Boonta Eve race, those pit droids. I thought that was kind of
yeah. You just see one kind of casually stroll through the scene.
Those idiots that Jar Jar was fucking with, the little meet. You hit their nose and they fold up.
Yep. I mean, it was kind of cool to see that, and it just goes to show that like this show is going to take from everywhere.
That to me is an Easter egg.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't something that was super prominent, and it falls. Yeah, it's definitely not a reference because nobody points it out and says like, "Oh, look, a picture."
But I mean, he even shows up in episode 9, so I mean, he's almost becoming like a
little cameo,
prominent background character. Yeah. Next one we had Tam, and again, Tam's part of Team Fireball, probably their best mechanic. We learned a little bit more about Tam in this episode and why she is a mechanic, because she wanted to be a racer and crashed and lost her money and this, that, and the other thing. But anyways, as she's talking to Sonara, she mentions that they could possibly scavenge the part they need for the computer, the targeting computer, from an old Y-Wing part.
Everybody know what Y-Wings are here? Of course you do.
I hope so.
Rebel bombers. Y-Wings are the Rebel bombers. We see them in episode 4, I believe we see a few, and I think we see.
Oh yeah, I mean they're one of the originals. I mean X-wing, Y-wings, you get them hand and fist in a New Hope.
Yeah, so I mean we've seen these ships before. We've seen them.
The Y-wings are ultimately useless, although I do believe one survives.
Yeah, one does survive
in the final shot, like the hero shot when they're pulling away.
But they don't really have the ability. They didn't have the ability to do any damage to the Death Star at that time. Like they're payload bombers. They don't have, directional firing missiles like it.
I mean, those of you, maybe younger fans, they're essentially smaller and slightly quicker versions of the bombers you saw in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. So
their purpose is to just literally drop bombs.
Yeah, they don't.
Not those types of bombs, but proton bombs, ion bombs.
Yeah, they aren't meant for dogfighting. Like X-wings are built for dogfighting. They have proton torpedoes that can lock on and track.
Yeah, X-wing again, probably the best rebel ship design out there.
100%. And I mean the iterations that we've seen, either past or present, all live up very well.
But I still, I'm an Empire guy, 100%, in terms of their aesthetic, the way they like their architecture.
Oh yeah, they're a sleek looking bunch for sure.
Yeah. A TIE fighter, it's a beautiful thing
absolutely.
too.
Absolutely. Next up, we got a peek inside of Sonara's garage. So obviously, with Sonara now on the station, she needs a place to stay. And we get a little...
And this, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back on. This was like one of those kind of random little gems
Dude, this was a solid find, because not only is it not the full chassis, but like, it's a...
Yeah, it's like maybe the front.
Yeah, but so...
But it's legit. I'm sticking to it.
Oh, yeah. So if you keep a keen eye out like Matt does while watching the show, if you look at the Sonara's garage scene, you can see an Imperial Speeder chassis being, what looks like it's suspended kind of off the ground in that shot. And then Matt does a really good job of giving you the actual, like a full body shot of an Imperial Speeder in the video right after.
Yeah, this is scientific, my friends. Yeah. I mean, if you're not following this shit on StarWarsTime.net, you're missing out. Like, these are legitimate thought-induced breakdowns. I mean, I'm legitimately trying to support the dumb shit I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it may still be dumb, but I'm at least trying to back it up with proof.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you got the physical evidence right in the next shot. I mean, it definitely.
Yeah, as ridiculous as it is, I'm still trying to be like, hey,
you gotta. We're coming up with content here, people. We make stretches every now and then. I think the last time we talked, there was a few we reached a little bit.
We're better than Mike Zero, and we're not just like completely making up bullshit.
Yeah, I know. It's like if we wanted to go that route, we could come up with some fantastical shit.
And we may. I mean, what we are, we will whore out.
Yeah,
we will whore out. I mean, you'll get used to that. That's why you got to follow us, StarWarsTime.net.
Yeah. So this the next piece I think is a really good catch, because this is something that probably everybody can identify, but nobody can really pin down what it is, and it's the shield generator.
It's dead on too.
Yeah.
Dead on.
I mean, that looks like it was pulled straight off the top of a Star Destroyer. Honestly, like.
Right. Like repurposed.
Yeah. I mean, there is no shying away from.
And trust me, the amount of times my kids made me watch Return of the Jedi in the past 2 weeks, I can guarantee you this is a motherfucking Imperial shield generator.
Dude, yeah. I mean, like in episode 6, there is a shot where there's a close-up on it, and then an X-Wing...
I mean, Akbar says, focus on the motherfucking, Imperial Star Destroyer, and they're like, bah, bah, bah,
yeah, and then blow it up.
And the dude's like, oh, fuck, our shield's down the bridge, and the guy in the A-Wing's like, blah, and kamikazes the motherfucker.
Yep. I mean, it's
one of the greatest. I love it. It's one of my favorite sequences because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking crazy. It's literally like a Japanese kamikaze pilot just goes
one right dude in the A-Wing takes down the Super Star Destroyer.
Yep, and then that's when you get to see the T-bone coming into the other.
Yeah, and it's just like slowly... Because it's literally a model blowing up into a model.
I know.
with fireworks.
I mean,
I love it.
Such good cinematography.
Oh, dude, I forgot to tell you. I mean, slight tangent here. So on Plex, I have both the original versions of the movie, and the Blu-ray slight ridiculous versions.
Yeah.
even though I'm kind of getting numb to it at this point. But anyways, sometimes you can't really tell in Plex which one is which, so Heather restarted Jedi on the original. And even though it's like 480p and a little baby screen on these big HD TVs now, I was like, hey, fuck it, let's just ride it through. And I really was like, man, why did he fuck with this one of all of them? I know.
The episode 6 is the one that you just, like, you don't fuck with the end of it. Like, the end of that movie was damn
right. And Nick's exactly right. Like, I'll even, at this point, whatever, the job is shit, whatever. I don't approve of it, but I'm not going to bitch about it. I think it was unnecessary. I was fine with fake-ass Snice Noodles, with the puppet sitting there like, bop, 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 bop. Just doing her little bullshit song and not that fuzzy ball, fake-looking fuck and the fucking dancers flirting with Fett and all that dumb shit. Either way, I can get over it. But I still contend. And even now, the No is not as bad as it used to be for me, but it's still, when you rewatch it in the original form, and we're talking about probably, to me, again, my opinion, to me, the best sequence in all of Star Wars at this point in time is still the shit that goes down in the Emperor's throne room on the Death Star 2 between Darth and Luke. In particular, when Luke uses the dark side to best his father and then realizes he went over the line, and because he's better than his dad, he fucking stops it, becomes a Jedi, and then starts to get murdered. And then his dad's like, you know what? Fuck, I'm an idiot. It's time to be good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't...
And when he doesn't say that, no, it's just... I even pointed out to my wife, I'm like, look at this shit. You can tell through the goddamn plastic mask the emotions this fucker's feeling. Why the fuck does he put that no in?
Yeah, it's complete. It's one of the most unnecessary additions into any... I mean, like, other movies have been special editionized and changed and stuff, but, like, this is probably the most egregious in any movie ever re-edited. It's just unnecessary.
You can see it the whole time. I mean, even though it looks like Darth gets up and he's going to be a willing participant in watching his son get murdered, you can tell the whole time he's sitting there going like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, fuck, shit.
Yeah. And it's just...
Fuck. And then finally you can see he's like, you know what? Fuck this. This is enough. Anakin's back, motherfucker. Fuck you.
There's the distinct look. He turns, he looks at Palpatine, and then that's when
he does it two times. He goes, look, and he's like, fuck you, man. You're done. You're not going to do this to my son.
I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect the way that it was. We did not need to have a voice line cut and re-edited over from the prequels. It was not necessary, but... We've talked about this probably 100 times for those of you listening.
Right, so
but
let's move on. And honestly, just for the sake of time, I'm telling you right now, the next Easter eggs are all similar. I'm just going to sum them up this way. The pirates in Star Wars Resistance legitimately must have murdered a ton of Imperial troopers because these motherfuckers are repurposing their armor, their ships, their weapons, you name it. So we'll leave it at that, but I love it. These are the Easter eggs that I love in a show like this.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it goes to show you that nothing went to waste after the Galactic Civil War ended. Like,
no, especially for scavenger types, like just trying to survive.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, the pirates are like the dregs of the galaxy. I mean, they need to get their hands on whatever they can, whenever they can. And apparently they came across a fucking cache of old stormtrooper armor, whether it be snowtrooper armor or just regular stormtrooper armor. I mean, they came across a whole lot of it.
It's everywhere. I mean, dude, it's everywhere. Like I said, it's almost at the point where I'm embarrassed to even put it on these breakdowns anymore.
But it looks cool.
Because it's almost just commonplace at this point.
Yeah, it's cool looking stuff. So 12, if we're following along here on StarWarsTime.net, people, on the Star Wars Resistance Sonar Score, Easter eggs, and references.
Well, not 12.
11 and 12. Yes.
There's a Nautilin that shows up on the Colossus, and if you're not familiar with that species, think Kit Fisto.
Yeah, Kit Fisto, former Jedi Master, unceremoniously cut down by Darth Sidious in that terrible throne room fight.
Chumped.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing was a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I mean...
It was shot like a disaster. It was stupid.
But...
It's fucking stupid as fuck.
Anyway, there is a...
I mean, 2 Jedi Masters literally get murdered.
Before they could move.
Like they're fucking younglings.
Yeah. I mean, there's younglings that put up a better fight against Anakin than those 2 put up against fucking Darth Sidious. It was really bad.
And he doesn't even, like, move fast or do, like, a crazy move. He does, like, a spiral spin. They could have chopped him in half.
Just...
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so there is a Nautilin on here. If you look at it, I think he's standing right... The scene that Matt put up there, he's standing right next to Tam and BB-8 as they're working their way through... what was that? Where were they going through in the Colossus Station? It wasn't in the garage. It was somewhere else. I think it was while they were running through all of the pirate attack. Yeah, I can't remember exactly where they are, but it's the Nautilin is tall green guy on the left-hand side, and there's another...
You can't miss him. I mean, he looks exactly like...
Yeah, I mean, the signature is the all black eyes, like the fully black eyes.
And the big-ass tentacle dreads.
Yeah. And then there's another kind of cool, old, goofy-looking alien to Tam's left. Blue, green eyes. Very cool. And then the one... I'm glad that you picked up on this one, because I'm a big fan of this race of aliens. The Trandoshans, which is the same...
There's multiple Trandoshans.
Yeah, there are. There was like... I think I counted 3 or 4. And those are the same race of aliens as Bosk, the bounty hunter. If you play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you probably know who Bosk is. If you watched Episode 5, you know who Bosk is. He was on the Star Destroyer when Darth Vader was giving his orders.
I think he's in Clone Wars, too, and Rebels, possibly.
Yeah. So there's a lot of... He's popped up in a lot of different places in Star Wars lore. And I just think the Trandoshans are really cool.
And guess what? We would have saw more of them in the fucking Boba Fett movie, but you dumb fucks wanted to boycott Solo, so eat a dick.
Got that blown up. I mean, we could see some Trandoshans in the Mandalorian, but you never know. But yes, if you pay close attention to these fights, these scenes of destruction in Episode 8 of Resistance, you'll see a lot of Trandoshans in there. It's pretty good stuff. And then number 13,
kind of fits in with the other ones we all summed up, but I mean, Kragan's ship to me is legitimately parts of an old Imperial shuttle, like the shuttle Tydirium.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really looks different about it is it has like downward facing wings where a shuttle Tydirium.
Right, yeah, the wings are all modified.
Yeah, exactly, but the cockpit is same distinct shape, and even back into the body of the vessel, it all looks very, very similar.
I mean, I feel like these guys just went to Jakku and cleaned
house.
Oh,
yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, there's so many destroyed Imperial crafts, I mean, even Rebel crafts on Jakku's surface. I mean, we see Rey still making a living off of that many, many years later in TFA, so... I don't doubt that they had scavengers or pirates or anything kind of hitting those deposits and picking up whatever they needed. So that kind of rounds out our Easter eggs for Episode 8. Lots of good stuff there. It's a very fast, action-heavy episode, so that's probably why we got so many of these little references and Easter eggs, because there was a lot happening, a lot of new characters.
Well, and as we said, it was probably... one of the best episodes of the season. I mean, it was fantastic, action packed, and it had all those Easter eggs and references, but it also added to the whole plot we're watching, which is Kaz's spy mission and what the fuck's going on, and all the secret dealings with the First Order and the pirates and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Which leads us to Episode 9, which to me was probably one of the worst episodes.
I gotta agree with you there. This episode...
I mean, it reminded me of the one that Elijah Wood was in.
Yeah, it was another one of those episodes that was...
completely pointless, like just a one-off, nothing.
Yeah, it was really self-contained on one particular character, and in this case it was Yeager, and it was filling in his backstory. So a lot of people.
So yeah, that was good. Outside of that, it was a
Yeah, I mean, there was no furthering of the overall overarching plot line. There was nothing to do with Kaz's spy mission. There was no involvement.
It was so bad you wouldn't even have thought that the Colossus was under a consistent threat from pirates.
Exactly. Like, there was nothing in here to say that they had just been fucking invaded by pirates and almost completely taken over. Like, it did a very good job of ignoring that entire fact.
But it still had some Easter eggs and references. So, I mean, the first one, again, this is drawn really reaching, but I did research it, and this has been mentioned in canon. And that is the 5 Sabers race. And I guess in canon, at one point in time, Han Solo himself was like the Grand Marshal of this racing circuit.
Yeah, so the whole kind of plot line of this focuses on Yeager and his brother, Marcus Speedstar, and they were both... Marcus is still a professional Starship racer, while Yeager used to be a professional Starship racer. So a lot of this episode was heavily positioned around, like, galactic racing. And the 5 Sabers race was one of the races mentioned by Speedstar when he was talking to his brother, I think reminiscing about their past and mentioning that Yeager was a former winner of the 5 Sabers race, correct? I think.
Well, I mean, it was made clear, if anything else, that Yeager was a supremely better racer than his brother.
Absolutely. I mean, they put that in no uncertain terms. Even Marcus himself was pretty clear about that. But
I mean, the point being is that, the 5 sabers, where'd that come from, lightsabers, whatever. But I did look it up. It was even, I think, as recently mentioned in the Phasma comics.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's, again, like you said, this is kind of we're reaching here.
It's a deep cut. It's a deep cut.
It's
It's what we'd call a deep cut on an album, like, a track that most people aren't listening to.
Next up, we have some familiar alien races being...
classics, actually.
Showcase.
I mean, 2 classics and a new one.
Yeah, so the Guavian Death Gang, I think we've heard of Guavians before, but we've never seen them. And then...
No, we saw them in
TFA. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, TFA, we saw one. Ithorian is the other race.
They're there with Bolatique or whatever. Balatique.
Yeah, Balatique when they came onto the ship with Han and Chewie.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so you had the Guavians, which we've seen before. We see...
They honestly, dude, they have one of the best looking armor designs, I think, in Star Wars. Because they just have those... fucking bulbous red shiny helmets, and it looks like it's just like one central eye.
Yeah, it almost looks... Yeah, it's not quite like a Cyclops because the eye takes up a big portion.
It pretty much is. It pretty much.
It almost looks like a button, like in the middle of their face.
Yeah, it's just it's a very unique looking design. I liked it.
I forgot about the...
JJ should have just done all the...
I can't believe I forgot that we saw them in TFA, because that was like a big part of the opening of the movie.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we'll pretend you didn't say that. I wasn't trying to make a big point.
We'll edit it out.
But if you want to revisit it, we can cane you if you want.
I mean, I should be.
Because that was a pretty big, it was pretty big.
I mean, I knew that we had heard it, but I forgot that we actually saw them. And they were standing on the other side. They were...
Oh, yeah. No, they're legit. It's even in the breakdown video, the clip from the movie.
I know. So the next one, and probably one of my favorite looking races of aliens in Star Wars, is the Ithorians, because they're so ridiculous.
The Hammerhead, for those of you not in.
Yeah, so an Ithorian, I mean, we've seen Ithorians in the OT, we've seen them in the prequel trilogy as well, is that race of aliens where their head is essentially like it slopes up and it's just a flat surface all the way up to their eyes that are hanging off the side. They have no mouth. They have no... I don't know how they communicate. I believe they communicate telepathically. And if you've played Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, Ithorians played a pretty central role in the Terrace, on the Terrace planet. So
I believe I know for a fact they're in the Gennady Tarkovsky Clone Wars cartoons. I'm sure I butchered his name. But I also think there may be a youngling Padawan in the Clone Wars. I'm
pretty sure there's an Ithorian Jedi Master. I could be wrong, but
I know there's an Ithorian Jedi period in one of those two franchises, if not.
Yeah. I think there's a Jedi Master. I'd have to go check again. But you've definitely seen it.
And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check out those Gennady Clone Wars cartoons.
Yeah, they're definitely worth watching, and I don't know where they sit in terms of canon at this point. We talked about this.
They may have been aborted.
Yeah, probably so, because we talked about it a little bit on the previous episodes, or on some previous episodes, but they go a lot farther towards the end of, like, towards the beginning of episode 3 than the current Clone Wars does.
Oh, dude, they literally, it was, I mean, you know what, they may be canon, because, I mean, George himself stood behind them and said, these bitches are leading right up to literally
the moment,
the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I mean, you see the moment where Grievous...
they take Palpatine right at the finale of season 2 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, so for sure they are, they give us a lot of good context. I hope they're canon, because there's a lot of cool shit in there, and it's a very...
Oh, and if they are, I mean, it validates Mace Windu getting a purple lightsaber with his one episode. I mean, he's in a few episodes, but the one where he literally takes down, like, this massive thing by himself, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So another good series, and another different Star Wars animation style than you've ever seen before. This is, like, much more like Samurai Jack style of animation.
Oh, it's dead on. I mean, this is like straight up 2D old school Looney Tunes animation.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. So go check that out. And
it's super flat, but
and
great.
Then the other race of aliens that we see is the Zootons, and
I'm going Zuttons. Either you say Zooton, I say Zutton, but the real name, people, is Snaggletooth.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm legitimately, like, that was his name and figure form back in the day. And he was in the cantina in episode 4, right?
Yeah. So. Same with Hammerhead. That's why I put the Ithorian up there. I mean, they're, to me as a kid, there's a few aliens that stand out in that cantina, and it's Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, the guy that looks like Satan.
Oh yeah, the dude, he's literally red face, has horns coming out of his head.
Exactly. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
I do. He
And then what the fuck's his name? The white furry guy with the little, like, mosquito mouth and multiple eyes.
I know who you're talking about. He, like, touches his mouth and he goes like meh, 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 meh.
I even have a shirt of him.
I can't remember his name. Fuck. God,
I hate myself. Delete our podcast. We suck.
We'll come back with it, but you guys know who you're talking about. I mean, like, the cantina scene in episode 4 is one of the most iconic scenes, just because of all different alien races you see in it, and if you've seen it, you remember a lot of these people we're talking about. I mean, it was a fantastic shot. But
Muftak, motherfuckers, eat it. That's his name, Muftak. I swear to God, look it up. I'm not kidding. Look it up.
Muftak. Oh my God.
Muftak.
Good God. I'm gonna type it in right now. We're on the internet. There he is. Oh, yeah, right? He's a Tals. Okay, I will say this.
I told you. Yes. You.
You're 100% right. And if you've ever played Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, the Tals play a huge part on the planet of... Oh, God, it's an ice planet, and I'm losing the name of it right now. It's not Hoth. It's another...
Is it the ice planet that the Jedis go to?
Oh, man...
For their crystals?
Maybe.
Because it does start with an I, but I'm drawing a blank too.
I gotta be completely. I mean, I'm just really blanking on it, but yeah. Anyway, they're all throughout Star Wars, The Old Republic, because you can get one as a companion if you're a Sith. You have a Tal's companion, and I forget his name too.
Well, their planet was Orto Plutonia.
That wasn't, it wasn't that. I'd have to look up Old Republic MMO and I think it's like your companion that you pick up off of that planet. Anyway, they are a very they're very noticeable, and they're not obscure. Like once you see them, you'll definitely recognize them, and you'll
Ilum.
Ilum.
Ilum is the ice planet.
I think it was Ilum. Yeah.
That's where at least they go to get the kyber crystals, the younglings.
Yeah. So that's definitely an ice planet. There's one other one. I'm not gonna waste any more time trying to think of it right now. If you guys have played the game, you know what I'm talking about, and you know the companion I'm talking about as well. So next up, we have number 3, which is there's a TIE cockpit window used as a decoration in Auntie's bar. Auntie's bar,
dude, Aunt Z is just a straight up. She's as bad as me in terms of collectibles.
Yeah, like this
at this point.
This woman,
and that is right. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's straight up.
Yeah, it's
a cockpit.
I think it might be like, I don't know if she golded it out or if it just looks like that because of the reflection, but like she may have gold plated it. Like it looks exactly like a TIE window.
But it's dead on. I mean, you can't mistake it for anything.
Yeah,
else.
I mean, this woman just has helmets. She's got fucking windows. She's got memorabilia from Rebels and from Imperials. Like, she is definitely a fan of the Galactic Civil War era. So, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. Dude, this next one, honestly, to me, was probably one of the most impressive references because to me it's a direct reference to Solo.
Yeah, the hyperfuel.
Because I mean the term hyperfuel was not used until Solo.
Yeah, I mean it was all.
And for those of you that don't know what hyperfuel is, it's coaxium.
Yeah, it's the primary thing that Enfys Nest and her band of Cloud Riders
would allow starships to use hyperspace.
Yeah, I mean like you don't just jump to hyperspace using regular gasoline. You need hyperfuel.
Well, I mean, that's how Han did the Kessel Run. I mean, he fucking infused the Falcon's reactor with hyperfuel.
Yeah, that's what gave him
like not using it for hyperdrive, literally dumping it into the engine, which we learned in this episode that Yeager's brother Marcus tried to do that to win a race and didn't go so well.
Didn't go so well as much as to cause the death of Yeager's family. Spoiler.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, they didn't come out and officially say it, but they kind of
did. I mean, pretty much they did. Like once they're in the race, like the back and forth, like
it's weird. It's just like I said, it was just not a good episode.
It wasn't great. So yeah, the coaxium, the hyperfuel mention was a good catch. Definitely a direct reference to Solo because there's nowhere else where you're gonna pull that reference from in Star Wars universe thus far.
Right. That's why I like that. I mean, that just goes to show you like how thoughtful all these new people are. I know a lot of you people hate these new people, but they are trying to fold all of this massive universe together at this point in time, and I'm all for it. Next one, Ace. So he's Ace is an ace, but his name isn't Ace. I forget his name, but anyways, the Ace that is a retired Imperial TIE fighter pilot.
Oh yes.
His ship, and I know it. I know we've seen it before, but it wasn't until this episode where I was like, that really looks like Yoda's ship from the Clone Wars. If anything else, it's a modified style of the Jedi Starfighter.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like when I think the first time we looked at it when they were announcing who the Aces were, we looked at it and we're like, oh, that looks like a TIE cockpit with
which is his name's Griff, right? His name's Griff is who we're talking about.
Because he's the older Imperial, like former Imperial pilot. And it does. If you look at it, like like Matt puts a great comparison shot in there directly from Clone Wars.
And that's only because I just saw that episode because that's from one of the Lost chapters. That's literally when Yoda kind of goes off the reservation to figure out if he's hearing shit in his head or if Qui-Gon is actually alive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is. I mean, it's almost dead on. I mean, aside from some aesthetic
it's spot
differences, like, it's pretty heavily spot on. So, solid catch there.
Right. And 6, again, just reaffirms that I am a fucking student of all things Star Wars because there are bar seats in ANZs that are direct replicas of the seats in the Falcon, in particular around the navigation computer.
Yep. Yeah, because
it's dead on. I mean, I provided reference, everything, but they're dead on.
Yeah, I mean, they may have been salvaged from the Falcon at some point, like.
Right. I mean, that's how dead on they are.
I mean, it's another fantastic catch. I mean, Honestly,
or it came from another Krillian
yeah.
freighter.
So I mean, I'll just give you a quick like. I caught two. I didn't. So I caught the alien races. I caught the hyperfuel. I caught the TIE cockpit window barely. The other three, not even close. The five sabers one, I was interested in that because they were talking about it. I was like, I wonder if that's like a thing.
Well, again, I'll tell you how I do this. I watch it with a notepad open on my phone, and I type shit down I think's going to be interesting. And if I don't know off the top of my head that I can back it up, I will look it up. So that was definitely like, this sounds like it could be important. If anything, they said the word saber.
Yeah.
So that's what I ran with on that one. And I did look it up, and I verified that it has been used.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this was, like you said, this was kind of like a hard one to pull stuff out of, but the things that you found were, I mean, that was top notch. And I mean, you couldn't have watched that episode of Clone Wars at a more convenient time to make that fucking comparison. Like,
Oh yeah, totally. Because it was, like I said, I mean, I'd probably just watch that episode maybe a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So I mean,
So it stood out. I did cheat a little
so
bit.
fantastic catch there by Matt on all of these, because this was probably one of the, not the greatest episodes of Star Wars Resistance.
It was bad. But based on the preview for the one upcoming this weekend on the 2nd, it looks like we're going to get back to the main story. So all is well.
This next bit that we want to talk about, it's not really a piece of news. It's more of like an introduction to a new series, a new short series from Disney, and it's going to be featured on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel. And Matt, you found this before pretty much anybody on the internet found it, which is pretty impressive. It's a new series, a new YouTube series called Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures. And if there's ever a perfect series to get your children into Star Wars, this is it. And I mean, you as a parent, Matt, like you wrote a fantastic piece on just exactly how these can be used to introduce your kids to Star Wars in a very, not only a flashy way, but like an easy to digest fashion. I mean, like, break it down.
Well, I mean, anyone that's had a little kid will get it. I mean, they're essentially little morons, right? They have zero attention span for the most part. It's almost impossible to get them to sit down for any amount of time and focus. So, what this Galaxy Adventures series is all about, and again, this is all, I mean, Disney launched. In addition to this announcement, they started a Star Wars Kids YouTube channel to obviously house these shorts. But they also launched a Star Wars Kids domain, so they have a website up. But what they're meant to do is to give parents, especially for little kids, I'm talking like even maybe 2 or under, or just over 2 and under, ways to kind of show off your love of Star Wars without having to make your kids sit down for 2 hours and watch one of the live action films. And, Nick talked about my piece, and the way I phrase it is like, I'm kind of lucky. I mean, my kid, through osmosis and my wife reading her Star Wars books and just through all that, she's just naturally become a fan of Star Wars. And she's the one that asked me, I want to watch Star Wars. What do you want to watch? Darth Vader. Okay, what do you want to watch? Darth Vader. What do you want to watch? Okay, I was like, all right. We're starting with the original trilogy. Popped in A New Hope. Lo and behold, she actually sat through the whole motherfucker and seemingly enjoyed it. And then we moved on to Empire, and now we're in the Jedi, and now we literally watch Jedi at least once a day. So, like her dad, she is a huge fan of Jedi. Back to the story, the point being is that, I kind of lucked out. My kid willingly wanted to get into the long movies. But even before that, the only way I could get her to focus on a Star Wars video, I mean, she liked the books, and she was always asking me, like, I want to watch Star Wars, And I'm going, like, nah, you're too young. I mean, you're not going to be able to watch these movies. So that's why I leaned on Star Wars Forces of Destiny, which have been out now for a while. I mean, they're great little shorts. They're all about the heroines of Star Wars. They're sometimes 2 minutes long. And they actually kind of expand upon some of the narratives we already know. So they were fantastic. She ate them up. But again, she wasn't really getting the main Skywalker saga. And let's be real, people. That is Star Wars, right? I mean, as sad as it's going to be when 9 wraps, that's supposedly the end of the Skywalkers. The only reason we have all the other offshoot shit is because of the Skywalker saga.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, like any Star Wars parent being a fan like we are, I wanted her to hopefully get into the real shit. And like I said, I lucked out. But if you're a parent that's kind of... And again, I'm not saying you need to force this into their face. I never did it. I'm very lucky. My wife is to blame. But it was natural. I mean, it was like she was... I do believe she was drawn to it. Either way... If you're struggling with your kid and they kind of want to get into Star Wars, but you know they have zero attention span and there's no way they're going to be able to watch the main movies, but you still want to start planting those plot seeds into their brains, you cannot go wrong with this Star Wars Galaxy of Adventure series. The first 6 shorts are out now. There's an episode on Luke that kind of basically teases his time on Tatooine. There's one on his battle with the Wampa on Hoth. There's shit with Vader. And the best part of it, Nick, is they actually use official dialogue and sound bites from the original movies that they are essentially retelling.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, is that's the best thing they could have done. I mean, they could have got voice actors to come in and tried to match, young Mark Hamill or... Harrison Ford or any of these actors from the original trilogy, but they did it right and they took the audio directly from the movie. So not only are the kids seeing these characters brought to life in an animation style that's really cool and really flashy, but they can immediately pick up on those sound cues. So you see these Galaxy of Adventures things, and then when they see the movie and they hear these lines, it triggers the memories to them, and they can remember seeing Luke hung upside down in the Wampa, cavern and reaching for his lightsaber from Galaxy of Adventures. I mean, it was a fantastic move, and they could have done it a lot of different ways. But I mean, I think that is, the way that they chose to do is probably the best way you could have done it.
Oh, dude, I mean, that's the thing, Nick. The visual style alone is why you should at least check these out for yourself.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I kind of phrase my piece not even just for young kids, but if you've got, like, non-fan friends and you want to be like, hey, man, just allow me 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Just look at these little shorts. And tell me after that if you still have zero interest in following up on these characters. And if you don't, fine. If you do, great. We're just gonna, we're gonna expand upon our friendship.
Yeah, and like, my favorite one is the Vader one, the first Vader one, because it
oh hell yeah! I mean, it's essentially recreation.
Exactly.
Of Rogue One.
Like, it takes the best scene we've ever seen from Vader in any film ever, and recreates it.
For Star Wars kids, it's pretty brutal. I mean, from the get-go, you see hands flying.
Yeah, dude, like, he's cutting people in half, throwing them across the hallway with the Force. I mean, like, they spare nothing here, and they show you the visceral nature of this character. I mean...
And it just looks so amazing. I mean, this is... I know they officially build Resistance as an anime. I mean, this is Star Wars anime.
Yeah, I mean, this is way more of an anime style.
It's full on anime. I mean, the facial animations, the way the faces are designed. I mean, the animation in general, the way it's over the top. But it's fucking beautiful looking. I mean, it's intoxicating. Let alone you're getting these great little Star Wars lore.
Yeah, I mean, and then just for, for people like us who've seen it 100 times before, the movies, the cartoon series, and all of this stuff, the perfect one that I can point to for us is the Wampa, the Luke in the Wampa scene, because I mean, in that scene in the movies, you couldn't animate that in the OT to have a cool fight between them, but in this, it's so cool to see Luke, force pull the lightsaber up. He gets out, he jumps up, and then he does a cool flourish, comes down on top of the Wampa, cuts its arm off. I mean, it looks fantastic.
And then he literally collapses a cave to the point where he explodes out of it.
And he's just at the end.
And did you notice at the end when he explodes out, lands on his back, he makes a little smile? I was like, that's why I like this.
I mean,
like he just gets this little shit-eating grin, like, I just fucked that shit up.
I just did that with the Force. But like, I mean, but that's the thing is it's not only adding things for people who haven't seen it, children, but it's also adding additional, cool shit for people like us.
Of course. I mean, I've seen it a million times, but that's why I appreciate this different visual style, because it's a completely unique retelling of that scene. So again, you've got the first 6 out now, and some of them aren't even retellings. Some of them are kind of, I'd say, liberal retellings using the dialogue and sound bites. I mean, the one with Han and Chewie was completely out of nowhere, but it used dialogue from the movie when they would fight about fixing the Falcon. The one with Vader and how he's the leader of the Empire and how they're this big war machine. Again, they used dialogue and music from the movies, but it was not a scene we'd seen in the films. So you get a lot of everything, and this shit's not stopping. I mean, it's only going to pick up in December, and then in January, it's going to become a weekly series all the way through the launch of Episode 9.
Yeah, I mean...
and we haven't even talked about what else they're putting out. So they're also putting out these things called fun fact videos, which are essentially Cliff Note recaps of a character. So they got one out for Vader, Luke, and they also put one out for the starships. And those, Nick, to me, are even better than the little shorts.
Yeah, you see, I mean, this type of information, to put it in bite-sized formats like this, it's just...
Back to the kid point and non-fan, especially.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it allows people an easy entry into Star Wars that have never experienced it before. And especially people who don't show enough interest in it to sit them down through a movie or even through an episode of a television show like Clone Wars or Rebels or something like that.
Well, I mean, dude, it explains the nuances of a franchise that literally expands like 7 decades.
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
I mean, it'll explain the nuances in a minute, and it actually is like, okay, yeah, well, shit, holy hell. I mean, the one for Vader, I was like, Jesus Christ, that could be literally the best, most condensed synopsis of who Vader is I've ever seen.
Yeah, whoever wrote these, like whoever was in charge of putting these together.
The writing and the editing of the video, like they not only make new animations for it, they also fold in like clips from the fucking prequels, the originals. I mean, it's beautiful shit. I mean, it is like Star Wars school.
Yeah, dude, that's a fantastic way to put it. Is fucking Star Wars school, and I mean, this is perfect. I mean, like this is the type of content that you need. Okay, so let me put it this way. My girlfriend's never seen Star Wars before. I've always talked to her about, like, hey, we're eventually going to have to sit down and watch these. And then she says, well, how many movies is it? And I had to take a second and tell myself,
8,
there's
10
movies. And to tell somebody that, like, hey, we're going to have to sit down and watch 10 movies.
Even if you hate it.
I don't care if we're going to watch all 10 of them. That is a massive undertaking, but to have something like this that says, okay, if you want to brush up a little bit, if you want to kind of get a little,
primes them up, fluffs
and then
them.
They come in and they're like, okay, now I know who Luke is, I know who Darth Vader is. You have a base of knowledge that you can work off of.
Right, and maybe they'll want to know more now.
I mean, fantastic stuff. Disney kids.
But I think the argument could be made, even if they watch these little shorts.
Oh yeah, dude! Like they get enough information out of there.
They'll know enough. They could have a little talk with a Star Wars fan. So, moral of the story is, people, you want to get on this shit. I don't care how old you are. If you're a Star Wars fan, more importantly, if you're a Star Wars fan that has a little kid, or you're a Star Wars fan that's trying to get your friends even remotely interested in it. This is the shit you need. Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures. You can check it out through our site on StarWarsTime.net. There's a YouTube channel and its own website. All right, buddy. So moving on.
We got some Mando news here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit you with a casting rumor first, and then a video that was found by none other than MakingStarWars.net. But first up, the casting rumor, also coming from Making Star Wars, is that Apollo Creed himself is set to appear in The Mandalorian. If you don't know who Apollo Creed is, then please, for the love of God, go watch. You could skip Rocky 1, 2, and 3. Just watch Rocky 4 and watch him be killed by Ivan Drago. It's Carl Weathers.
It's brutal, man. Speaking of Rocky, I just watched Rocky 3 last night. No joke.
That's the first time you've seen Rocky 3. Okay, I was
no.
Come on. I know you've seen.
I mean, I'm an American male.
I mean, Rocky 3 might be.
But it's been a long time since I've seen it. I watched it. I was like, I had no clue how big of a role Apollo played in that movie.
Essentially
and really Rocky's career.
Yeah, he was essentially like Rocky's. Like Rocky was done. Like,
well, he becomes his manager. I mean, he becomes.
But then he also he's his motive. Like Rocky is down. He loses the clubber, and then he's like,
wakes
"Get
him
the
up."
hell!" Like the scene on the beach when they're running, and then Rocky just stops, and then he.
Yeah, he's like, come on.
He comes back up. I mean, like one.
Yeah, and then Adrian eventually wakes him up and is like, "Yo, motherfucker." Quit being
and I mean,
bitch.
If you haven't seen Rocky, if you've seen Happy Gilmore, Carl Weathers plays Chubbs. He plays Chubbs in Happy Gilmore.
It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. The happy place.
I mean, this guy. I mean,
I love him, man. Fucking
he's
Predator.
A Predator. I mean, the guy has been in. I don't want to say fantastic movies or anything like that. He's been in
Arrested Development.
Dude, the acting coach in Arrested Development was hilarious. Tobias's acting coach, but
So, anyways, I mean, there's a good chance he's going to be in the Mando.
And I mean, I gotta say, man, they've got some high-profile names in here now. You've got Pedro Pascal.
Well, dude, we remember the budget, right?
10 million.
I mean, what was the budget?
Per
10 million
episode.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, they're not fucking around. Like, they got a lot of money to play with, and I'd like to see, like, what do you see Carl Weathers playing, though? I mean, like, I don't see him as an Imperial, like a former Imperial.
No, I was just going to say he's going to be some sort of good guy or a guy that lives in the gray but leans towards the righteous.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. I mean, maybe he...
And I kind of think the Mando's going to be in that area, too.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that the Mandalorian is going to be like, the title character is going to be like this force for good or anything like that. He's definitely going to be like a morally gray character that
he's going to be Han Solo-ish.
I think that's definitely more Han and less Luke from the Mandalorian.
Oh, totally. And that's honestly what I'd see if Carl does get confirmed. I kind of see him being that type of character.
I mean, it's hard to pin him down for a character, though. But I mean, when I saw this, I was pretty excited. I mean, we have Gina Carano, we have Pedro Pascal, now we have Carl Weathers. I mean, you throw Dolph Lundgren in there, and like, what's gonna happen? Are these two gonna show down? Like,
well, isn't in this article they also mentioned that John Leguizamo may be in it
like
too.
Leguizamo was another name that MSW had heard kind of thrown around dealing with the Mandalorian, but he hadn't had basically Carl Weathers, he has a hard confirmation from his sources saying that this guy's going to be in there. For Leguizamo, he hasn't heard like a for sure yet, but I mean, Leguizamo plays a lot of squirrely characters, and I mean, if we're dealing with a lot of underworld type of situations here in The Mandalorian, Leguizamo playing that type of character could definitely fit in. And I think there's a place for him, especially as like a seedy contact that our title character, does dealings with if he's trying to find information, similar to like a DJ character from TLJ, I would say, if Leguizamo ends up in this show.
DJ.
What a character.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Next up,
we got. This is a video that's
And by the way, that piece was from Making Star Wars, and this next one's going to be from Making Star Wars.
I mean, a lot of our, like, we're, we hear things, we see things, but I mean, like, Making Star Wars.net, Jason Ward has their hand deep in the cookie jar of the Star Wars behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I honestly think dude may get a restraining order against him for the Mandalorian set stuff. I mean, because he's got to, like, he either has some dude on the inside or someone he's paying to, like, sit up in an apartment across the street from the set.
Yeah.
Because this latest update he put out, I mean, the dude's got some legitimate shit.
This is all like camera cell phone video that's taken, like, I don't know where it's being taken from. If they're standing right outside the limits of where the set, the set is locked off.
I mean, they're obviously up in the air somewhere. So, like, I mean, there's some building across the way that they have access to. Unlimited access
and
to.
So there's two videos that are up here, and one of them is showing like a vehicle of some sort being brought in on a crane onto the set of The Mandalorian. It's suspended, it's covered by a black tarp, but you can see, if you zoom in close enough, and they do, you can see the foot of this vehicle, and it looks very similar to like a much smaller version of an AT-AT foot. In my estimation, is kind of what it looks like. You don't get to see the whole body of this vehicle, not at all.
Man, that's an interesting interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Especially if you read their take on it. I mean, they're not even close. They think it's a legit vehicle.
I mean, we'll see what it is. It's hard to tell. I mean, they probably know more than me.
See, they thought, and honestly, I look at it now when I just look at the thumbnail, at least if you watch the video, they thought it was a TIE fighter pod.
I mean, if it's...
It kind of does look like. I mean, it looks like a ball.
Two
and
wings
it could have two
come off the side of it.
Off.
And I guess if I've never seen the docking mechanism of a TIE before, like if a TIE lands, like the feet that come down from it that like set it on the ground. I think.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, you're right. The only time we've seen it is in The Force Awakens when, I mean, obviously they're on the ship there. And it's almost like they don't rest on a surface. They're almost
because
they don't, like, TIEs don't have fucking landing gear outside their wings.
Like in TFA, the ones that, the one that Finn and Poe take off on, that's what it was. It was like suspended against the wall, and then it, it pulls out. So maybe this is some sort of TIE, like reminiscent of a TIE vehicle that has this landing gear that is like feet. And I mean, it's to me, it feels Imperial. Like, even looking at this one piece that you see, like it has a distinct Imperial design to it. So it was very interesting. It could be, I mean, it could be a lot of things. Who the fuck knows? We'll find out in 2019.
Yo, if anything, I dare you to watch the YouTube video that they have embedded here, because the shit's trippy as hell with the music.
Yeah, so I haven't listened to it, but I like.
It's fucking crazy, man. It's like demonic 8-bit music of Taika Waititi directing a scene.
Yeah, so like again.
Oh, it's actually like Star Wars 8-bit music.
Yeah, so it's like they take
wow.
they took music from the original scores and then 8-bitted it up. But
crazy.
This again, like, this shows you the level of access that these people have to the set. Like, this is a full scene being directed by Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok. Awesome. And
I mean, they've captured fully decked out stormtroopers, which is
and I mean, you see them going through this motion. There's basically, if you're not watching the video, it's the outside of a building. There's a TIE.
And this, again, just to clarify, is 7 years after Jedi.
Yes. There is a.
So they're saying even then there are still
remnants
actively, garrisons of stormtroopers.
Yeah. So obviously. I mean, this man, this is another one that I have to confirm is when exactly the Battle of Jakku takes place, because if it's post Battle of Jakku, the fact that there's
It's 3. I'm pretty sure Jakku's 3 years after
Yeah.
Endor, and then this is 4 years
Yeah,
after
so the
Jakku.
fact that there's any sort of Imperial remnant still sitting around after the Battle of Jakku means that you're
crazy.
probably way out there.
They almost have to be tied to the beginnings of the First
like
Order.
it has to be already like the building,
or like you said,
yeah,
way
like,
out.
Like you're
out.
talking outer rim.
Like you almost still have a governor running.
Yeah, like there's
shit.
a planet that just hasn't gotten the word yet.
Yeah, there's a governor or a Moff or still fucking doing something.
There's definitely a guy in full stormtrooper garb. There's a freeze frame at the end of the video that shows you Taika Waititi. It's pretty clear that it's him. I mean, he looks like a Kiwi fella sitting there in his looks like a Hawaiian shirt and backwards hat.
I mean, he looks
yeah,
like
he
Korg.
does. Oh my god. But yeah, man. I mean, these people have unprecedented access that nobody else has, and I'm jealous as fuck. Honestly, like I can't. I want to be able to find the things that these guys find, and I mean, they got it. Like they're able to find the stuff that like literally nobody else on the internet puts up.
They actually have an article up now saying Nick Nolte is joining.
I see that on the side. Yeah, Nick Nolte. It's question mark. Is Nick Nolte joining the Mandalorian? From John Favreau, individuals with knowledge of the project tell the Wrap. So this is apparently from the Hollywood Reporter. So he picked up. This is rare that he picks up on something from a different source, but yeah. So Nick Nolte. God, that would be weird as fuck, right? Nick Nolte. What's the last thing Nick Nolte was in?
I mean, I couldn't.
Did you see that movie Warrior?
I mean, the point she's making in the article is that there's a lot of people in Star Wars land that probably won't know who he is just based on age and because of like how far off the rails.
Yeah, I mean,
he
like
went.
the dude was a legitimate like drunk.
I mean, he was in like big movies, but he became like a pretty big headache.
Like he had a lot of substance abuse problems. I mean, I can't tell you a lot of the old shit that he was in, but I know him from this movie called Warrior, and it's a fighting movie. It's an MMA movie with Tom Hardy.
Wasn't that Hardy
Edgerton.
and Uncle Owen?
Yeah, it was those two, and then Nick Nolte played the dad, and the dad was a drunk, so he played it pretty fucking well.
Oh, I there you go. Ang Lee's Hulk is the last movie I can remember Nick Nolte
Gosh,
being in.
yeah, that fucking travesty.
He plays Bruce's
that,
dad.
That movie was a disaster. But yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there you go. I mean, Mando, we definitely got some interesting things going on set. I mean, it still to me looks very Tatooine-ish, Jakku-ish. But I think the most interesting thing we got out of that is not even the big garbage bag vehicle. It's the fact that there are stormtroopers in this universe still.
Like legitimate.
Like legitimate old school Empire stormtroopers even 4 years after
kicking
Jakku.
around somewhere out there. I'm not sure what they're doing or where they are, but
yeah, it's like almost I wonder if they're like just a gang that just banded up and maybe I don't know. I mean, I think that's why I'm so excited for all
I mean,
this
what
shit.
do you think that's possible? I mean, that's a really interesting point. Like, what if some of these stormtroopers who are, now displaced just decide to like be a mercenary group?
I think it's either the point you made that they're so the fuck out there that they are maybe approaching the unknown regions, and maybe there are pockets that don't know that the Empire's fallen, and there are still Moffs and regional governors doing shit. So there are still garrisons. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, we know at this point stormtroopers aren't clones.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just idiots that are slightly brainwashed, but they're technically still humans, I would think. We know they're not aliens because the Empire was racist, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? That's why I'm excited for this show.
Exactly.
It's just there's so many unknowns about it. I mean, this is this is, you got to think about it, this is uncharted territory for the most part. Yes, there have been other live action Star Wars TV shits, you know, the Caravan of Courage and all that nonsense, but I mean, we're talking that was in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, there are generations of Star Wars fans that have never seen live action Star Wars TV.
It's a new experience, and it was something that Lucas talked about a lot in the early 2000s, and it never happened. But now Disney's going to make it happen, and it looks like they're going to make it happen in a big way. I mean, $100 million for a 10-episode run, and then
they're definitely not skimping.
No.
It now just comes down to are they going to pay off on the story? Because in the end, that's all I fucking care about. I mean, I've reaffirmed that I can still watch movies made in the 70s and 80s, even though even now the special effects are looking rougher than ever. But I don't care.
It's all about the content.
It's still good content.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not fucking around. I've watched Return of the Jedi at least 6 times this week.
I mean, that's
a movie I've seen myself probably over 100 in my life.
I mean,
and I'm now just like being beaten down with it again. And there are times when it gets to the end and we're in the throne room, it doesn't matter.
It just
doesn't matter what shit looks like. It doesn't matter that you can tell there's like literally paintings in the background. And the ships are like being moved around with sticks. I'm just like, it doesn't get any better.
I mean, it tugs at the heartstrings, and it's just, I mean, nostalgia.
It's even worse when you got a little kid. I mean, dude, there are times when she's asked me questions, and I have a hard time answering them because I'm gonna cry.
I mean, that's
because myself, I'm getting emotional over like just because my whole life. These scenes have made me emotional because of how they make me think about my own relationship with my dad and us in Star Wars, and now I got my own, and it's just like, oh my god. I was like the throne room where I'm trying to explain that, you know, oh, Luke just gave up the identity of his sister and now he's angry and he's using the dark side. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I know you have no clue what I'm talking about. But then I started almost crying.
Like you have to. One day you'll understand how big this was.
Because
this moment.
You don't understand like the gravity of this moment, dude.
It's like you're still a kid and your brain is still
like Luke got that close, and I did. I'm telling you right now, I didn't even fully grasp what happened in that scene until I was probably in my teens, 20s.
I mean, that's.
And then I realized, like, shit, Luke lost his fucking mind there for a little bit.
You get the close-up on his face, and, like, you see that he was right there.
The only reason he beat his dad is because he allowed the dark side to flow for a bit. And when you got a young Skywalker versus an old Skywalker, young's always going to win if he's embracing his full potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair.
And that's some heavy shit. And then when he sees his dad's frayed hand and then he looks at his, he's like, God damn it. I'm already becoming him. I'm doing exactly what Anakin did. But I'm not an idiot. Throws it away.
Pulls himself back.
Beautiful. I mean, again, that's why, to me, Return of the Jedi is my favorite.
It's a beautiful movie. I mean,
I don't care about the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks, to be honest with you.
Ewoks.
But it's a product of when I watched it. I mean, it's fucking 3.
I mean,
just like all you assholes out there that honestly think the prequels are good. I mean, I see more and more of you.
You were probably 3 when you watched.
You can't hide from me. I see you a lot on Instagram, especially. And I'm not gonna really hate you for it because I kind of get it. I mean, if you were born in the late or early to mid '90s, I get why you probably think the prequels are good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Star Wars that you grow up with, you know, like. Luckily for the kids growing up now, the Star Wars that they're growing up with is top tier. I mean, you know, Disney Star Wars.
Right. And even with my kid, it's not like I said, you're only watching the fucking originals. She specifically stated, I want Darth Vader.
And there's
so what the fuck do you want me to do?
No other way to go to get Darth Vader.
So I think in the end, it just shows that she's highly intelligent, not an idiot.
Good call.
But again, if she said Amidala, I would have fucking rolled with Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
force it on her the way I think she needs to see it, but she dictated for herself. I want fucking Darth
Yeah.
Vader.
Yeah,
There
like
we go.
you're not gonna yell at your 2-year-old and say like, "No, we're not watching the prequels. They suck." It's like you.
But I'm seeing more and more shit, especially as I'm trying to grow our shit on Instagram. Like a lot of the meme accounts, like Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of the memes are like, prequels are awesome. Why you guys make fun of them? The prequels are better than Disney Star Wars. You idiots. I'm just going,
ouch.
wow. Talk about like a generational difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I mean,
even
I
get
was
it.
close to that too. I mean, in '99, I was 11 years old, but by that time, I was already kind of into OT Star Wars, and like, that was my. I mean, like, look, just like everybody else.
Well, yeah, you still in the end you owe your friend
do,
a
yeah.
lot. He saved. I mean, you're right. I mean, he saved you from becoming a prequel.
I mean, all credit given to my buddy who brought me in at the right point.
And I say that lovingly. Again, I'm not trying to hate on you guys, but I disagree with you 100%.
So, next.
And I will. I'm ready. I actually think I'm going to pitch it to Nick live now, but I think we're going to do a cast where I'm going to argue the entire cast that The Phantom Menace is the best prequel and the only worthwhile prequel movie, period.
Okay, that's going to be interesting because I'll play.
I'm either going to write a piece on it because I almost want to write a book on it.
I mean, you've brought up a lot of salient, really good points about it, and I'll do.
It's one of those deals like I will just be an ass because I almost want to put myself in that meme where you got that idiot on like a college campus that people write on the sign like blah 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 talk me out of it type of shit.
Prove me wrong.
I mean, no way. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'm right. The Phantom Menace is the only redeemable prequel. Period.
I mean, you've presented a lot of good evidence for that over our cast.
So we're gonna do that, but that's gonna be on the new network. So you're just gonna have to follow us over there if you want to hear that and either rage listen and hate me, or listen and applaud.
So here's what I'll do for that. I think a fun format will be that like I'll play your counterpoint side. So you.
But I think it's somewhat legit because I can tell deep down that you do think Revenge of the Sith is somewhat.
I do.
redeemable.
I mean, like I can't argue some of the points that you bring up. But I will. I think I can point to some things in that movie that I think are well executed. I think that there are some things in there.
Right. And I just have to point to the ray shield scene to blow up every argument you can make.
That I can't defend that. I can't.
So anyway, it's gonna be a fun project. Like I said, I've been thinking about it. It's something that consumes me because I honestly think a lot of people are wrong about the Phantom.
I mean, like you've definitely.
I think you're severely wrong, especially when you think about what we've gotten from that, aka Darth fucking Maul. Let alone, I mean, there you go. I win, done, over, but I have even more. So, like I said, just stay tuned to our podcast. That will happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's good. It'll be a fun project. I mean, over the how long have we been doing this cast now? 3 years, so almost 3 years exactly.
Close. Yeah.
You have definitely tilted me more towards the episode 1 as the best prequel, out of the 3.
I mean, and again, I'll do it very grandiose and very sarcastically, and I'll do it with the aim of firing people up. But when it comes down to it, I'm being 100% serious.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you right now, I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan, and I don't like the prequels. But I'm telling you right now, the Phantom Menace is the best.
I know that you're 100% serious on it, so I'm not gonna go in thinking that you're trying to make.
Yeah, this isn't bullshit. This isn't fucking clickbait. Like I said, I may even still write a piece after it because I feel that strongly about it. Like honestly, I want to go on a show or like I said, write a book.
Write up a long post, and if we had the ability to like make something a permanent featured post on our site, we would just leave that up there.
Oh, I'm the webmaster. I get to do whatever the fuck we want. It just it just comes down to we want to leave that.
But
yeah, well, I mean, we'll have people come in like DDoS us and fucking
Oh
frame
yeah,
or sight.
I mean, like, if you want to talk about a way to draw attention is one thing, but I mean, we'll probably get positive and negative attention, but you know, we don't want to put the life of StarWarsTime.net on the line yet. You know?
No. So anyways, just consider that our tease for our big move over to StarWarsTime.net. But we want to wrap up with our last little piece, and this is another, well, not another. This is a rumor for Star Wars 9, and these idiots are calling it a leak, which is bullshit because leak implies it's legit. It's not a leak.
It is a 100% rumor, and this is
It's a leaked rumor.
Yeah,
possibly.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know how to classify it. The best way to classify it is as a rumor. I mean, nobody knows it's true. We don't have fucking evidence. We don't have screenshots. We don't have set pics to prove this in any way.
I mean, a leak is a leak. A leak usually implies that something legitimately came out and you can look at it or read it.
Exactly. So this rumor is that we are going to get Luke Skywalker in the flesh in episode 9.
And that's the key point, people, because we knew it. I mean, Hamill came out and said, "I'm in this bitch," which, you know, I think we all knew. I mean, Nick and I did, at least. We weren't the ones thinking that the fucking sky was falling over episode 8 like some of you people. We knew he was coming back. But this piece is implying that he's going to come back in corporeal form, not spirit form.
We're talking similar to what we've seen with Grandmaster Yoda in episode 8, where he comes back.
Right, and I kind of forgot that. I always felt like he kind of had a hue around him.
He did at first, but then the hue fades, and like he's standing there, and the key is when he hits him on the head. He's like pop, 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 and the staff actually hits Luke on the head.
Okay. I'm an idiot. You're exactly right. I mean that's as obvious that he's not a fucking ghost.
Yeah. So the whole point of this is that we've always known since the original trilogy that Force ghosts were possible. Like the fact that we've seen Obi-Wan in episode 5, we saw obviously Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda in episode 6 at the end. Force ghosts are possible, but now with episode 8 TLJ coming in, we now have this new factor of Force immortality, and it's that you can physically come back in a corporeal form and interact with people and with objects within like the real world. And this rumor is that this is going to happen with Luke Skywalker. The way that it's broken down, this is from an Express article. They said, I'll give you the important parts. No blue hue is described in this sequence. Luke holds his iconic green saber, so the one that we did not see in episode 8, in his hand, not ignited, so you only see the hilt as Rey examines it. This could be Luke's lesson to Rey, teaching her how to develop a lightsaber on his own. Luke's face has no beard and shorter hair, shorter than his hair was on Crate when he had the Force projection there, and he wears brown robes with white sleeves. So that's how it's described. This is I kind of broke down one.
Well, they're also saying that he's essentially presenting his Mac Daddy green lightsaber to Rey as like, this is how I
exactly.
made mine.
Like he's showing it to her as a example of how you would make a saber on your own. Because I mean, she had previously.
Man, what were we talking about her potential color in the last?
Yeah,
episode?
I think we were talking.
Do you think she's gonna go OG, or do you think JJ's gonna be like, you know what, fuck
I
it,
think
let's
like
do something crazy.
If I was Disney Star Wars, I'd be like, hey, yo, new color. Like new color means new marketing opportunities.
I think didn't you say you wanted her to have white?
You said you
purple.
wanted her to have white. I said pink. I said like a pinkish hue.
Yeah.
Pink may be too close to red depending on how they hue it, but I would like pink. Because I think she could rock it. I mean, like Rey rocking like not like a neon pink, but like a deep kind of like, like a nice deep pink color.
Nah, you're. I mean, I'd take anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
fuck
care.
it. But I mean, I think that white would look
I think
badass in live action for him. I mean, we've seen it. It's an established color.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
least.
I mean, Ahsoka as Fulcrum was rocking whites, so it was pretty nice. But I mean, basically, I broke down how this could happen. I mean, we've already seen it done with Grandmaster Yoda. One thing we know about Grandmaster Yoda is that he is an extremely
Oh yeah, I mean, I
powerful
guess
Jedi.
I don't want to like shit on the idea because it is backed by canon.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like it's established now, so it's possible. But
and honestly, I totally see it happening, especially based on fan reaction.
Yeah,
to Luke and
I mean that.
Like it's almost like, hey guys, we'll just give him to you again. I mean, he's dead technically, but we did establish that these dead Jedi, these super powerful ones at least, can essentially come back.
And I mean, there needs to be, if anything needs to happen, it needs to be Luke and Rey kind of making amends, or well, really Luke making amends to Rey.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man, she doesn't have to apologize to that angry asshole. I mean, he's the one that needs to. And I think it's set up that way. I mean, Yoda teased that up as much. I mean, pretty much that's why he beats him in the head. He's like, dude,
what the fuck were you doing?
What the fuck's wrong with you, man? He's like, I get it. We kind of fucked you up too. It's our fault, but I've been dead for a while. I'm fucking crazier than ever. Fuck it. Let's burn this bitch.
Yeah,
Fuck
let's
it.
burn it down.
I love that Yoda. I mean, he was like even more insane than
yeah.
Dagobah
He's like
Yoda.
Dagobah Yoda was still alive and like.
Yeah, I mean, Hermit Yoda is one of my favorites because he literally, I mean, the first time he meets Luke, he is insane.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how much of that is legitimate. Like, I think that some of it was probably real. I mean, the dude had never he hadn't seen a real human being.
He's like Tom Hanks talking to Wilson.
Yeah, like
nuts.
he was staring at a light bulb like he's never seen anything like it before.
It's like, no,
yeah, I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. And then
mine. He's like fucking beating R2.
I mean, it was fantastic. And the Yoda that we see in TLJ still, he has some of that wisecracking bullshit, but then he also
he's fucking the slapstick.
But he comes back, but he also hits him with some real wisdom, like you said. Yeah, we fucked you up. Like we put you in a situation to where you really couldn't thrive, but we thought that you would be able to come around to the fact that like it's always about the next generation, and this is a fundamental thing that you just did wrong here. You had the next generation of Jedi right in front of you, and you treated her like garbage, and you need to fix that. So, I think we're gonna get that style of Luke, the same style of Yoda that we saw in 8 is what we'll have for Luke in 9. Like he's gonna be able to come back, make his amends, and then really kind of,
Yeah, it's gonna be more of a like. Exactly. Hey, Rey. Instead of Luke coming back to apologize to Yoda, to his master, the master's going to come back and apologize to the student.
Yeah, it's like, hey.
And be like, yo, hey, my bad. You were right. You're actually pretty fucking great. I was a cocksucker. Here's some tips. Let's actually do, like, some legit knowledge transfer.
I think
now.
another possibility here is that, I mean, what did he say to Kylo right before he disappeared? Like, see you around, kid.
Yeah, see you around,
and,
kid.
I mean, it's very possible that he comes back not to torment.
He could be haunting him,
exactly.
too.
Like,
sure.
not to torment him, but to, like, I don't know, maybe he starts pulling on him. Like, you're, like, just telling him, like, you can achieve this.
Yeah, I mean, the more you think about it, they kind of open a can of worms with Yoda. I mean, at this point, can these guys just come back and start fucking killing people left and right? With
exactly.
No
like, what is the extent of the interaction that you can have?
Right. I mean, if Yoda can burn down a tree, why can't he just float up into space and become like the size of a planet and be like, Yoda, and like just crush
it's
the
like,
first
what's
order?
stopping anybody from coming back and just striking a person with lightning? Like, why can't?
Right. So I think there's a fine line to walk
Yeah.
with this.
I think.
right?
Yeah, I think you.
Because if we're gonna bring back Luke in full form, why didn't he just start
exactly.
fighting?
Like, there's got to be some sort of limitation to the form, whether it be
Right.
like.
We're gonna have to learn some new rules about force ghosting.
I think that's going to be a primary. I don't know if it's going to be a primary explanation point within the movie, but I think it's going to be something that needs to be explored a little bit more, since like the fundamental process of this happening has changed so much. Like before, it was just like you see a ghost, okay, people can identify with that. Like, seeing an ethereal form is one thing, but like being able to like go up to a dead person and give them a hug and then them being able to touch you back is completely different. Like there's a lot of shit that needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, it suggests that they can interact with the living, so why not just start?
Yeah, I mean, like the best way is just, if that's the fucking case, like just let Luke come back in full form, grab Kylo's lightsaber off his desk and stab him right in the chest. Like, like that's how the movie ends.
I mean, honestly, for all the haters, that's their episode 9. I mean, it could last 5 minutes.
Like that's it.
Like if they be playing the Duel of Fates the entire time, and Luke just appears out of nowhere and goes zoom, it just fucking cuts his head off, and then at the end it says written and directed by George Lucas.
And that's the fanboy dream right now. Like that is
right.
That's where we're at. But
yeah, Luke did.
I mean, it's an interesting rumor, but I think there's a lot of credibility behind it.
It could definitely work based on what's been set up in canon at this point, for sure.
100%. So, very interesting rumor, really cool implications behind it, and a lot of cool shit that could come out of it. So, I wrote up a piece on it on StarWarsTime.net. You guys go there. If you scroll down to the Star Wars news section, you'll see it on there. So yeah, man, I think that we've touched on all of our items.
Yep, we've definitely hit this week's topic. So just to remind everyone, we have one more episode after this one on the Entertainment Buddhacast podcast network, and then we will be moving Star Wars Time to StarWarsTime.net officially. Of course, you should just go over there now, get it bookmarked, favorite, whatever you got to do. Add the icon to your home screen. It'll look real pretty. We've got our little animated chibi faces.
I gotta say, I was looking at our logo during the cast. That logo looks so good. Like we look fantastic. And then also, I mean, like Matt was saying, go bookmark it now. We have excellent content up there now. I'm trying to do pieces 3 times a week. It's just basically, it's called Know Your Star Wars. It's a short piece on a lesser known Star Wars character. It gives you information about who they are, what they've done, who they're played by in whatever, series or movie that they're in. A lot of good content there. Matt's put up really good content around the Galaxy of Adventure stuff. He does his Star Wars Resistance recaps and Easter eggs there now. Lots of content there all ready for you guys to consume. So go tag it, go save it, go bookmark it, and go visit it.
Yeah, point being is eventually we will have an official podcast feed for Star Wars Time itself. So that's the point. But that'll all be delivered through StarWarsTime.net. So you won't miss it if you just hit that up. We're also on YouTube now, as Nick suggested. So thanks as always, my friends. We appreciate you coming along and joining in, tuning in for these episodes. We know people are listening. We still don't know how many. All we want you to do is please follow us on this move, because I think in the end it's going to be a better thing for the show. It could hopefully expose us to more people, and then maybe we can all get together and hang out and just love, or in some cases hate, Star Wars. In between now and then, though, may the Force be with you always.